Hello, everyone. Welcome to Checking In with Changemakers with Be the Change Media Network. My name is Lily Mott, and this is the show where I get to catch up with past guests of Be the Change podcast. I have been hosting this podcast for over 3.5 years now, and it's getting close to 4 years. And my guests have done some very exciting work since I talked with many of them. So this is an update on their work. My guest today is Rida Yumn Ahmed, and she is working on a lot of different things right now, and I've been following along with some of her work, so I'm excited to get a better check-in about all of the things that she's been doing. I featured her back on Be the Change podcast in September of 2021, and she was featured in episode 67 of the podcast. So I'm really excited to talk with her about all of the work that she's done, and she just joined, so let's go ahead and get started. Hi, how are you?
Hi, Lily. How are you? It's so good to see
So
you.
good to see you. How are you doing? How's everything going today?
It's going really well, and it's kind of like summertime is coming in India, so it's getting hot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty fun. But how are you? It's so good to see you,
It's
after.
so good to see you. Yeah, I've been following along with some of the work that you're doing, but I'm excited to learn about everything. I featured you back in the podcast in 2021, so I know that there's been lots of updates since then, and I would love to get started by having you give a quick intro just about who you are and the work that you're doing, and then we'll dive in deeper from there. So whenever you're ready, let's get started with that.
So hi, my name is Rida Yumn Ahmed, and I'm based in New Delhi, India. So when the first time Lily and I talked, we talked about a lot about creating change for people. And I think one thing which still stands is like how I'm working for people, this time more in the aspects of, working in the pro-liberty movement. So right now I have been working a lot in the pro-liberty cause by empowering people, especially in terms of empowering women to start their own businesses and talking about free markets and privatization and individualism, which I feel is a very important aspect, especially in many of the South Asian countries. So right now I have been delving into that aspects while, even being there and kind of having an intersection between STEM and business and how we can use that to create a positive change. So I think, yeah, it's been so good so far. And we have had an incredible change, not just like nationally, but also internationally, where I have been collaborating in a lot of international partnerships. And I feel that it's lovely that, in the end, when you talk with people who are doing great stuff in change making, it's that same thing which just, makes you united. So you don't feel different on the, on the basis of your border, caste, color, or creed. So it just like brings us same. So I think it has been an incredible journey so far, partnering with different people all across the world, working together to create a better future.
Yeah, definitely. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the people that you've worked with? You were mentioning kind of combining business and STEM, and can you tell me a little bit about some of those projects or maybe the people that you've been working with and just the updates on that front for you?
Yeah, so basically, we have been like working in the aspects of like, in different fields, we feel that, there should be a requirement of having you know, more of a mindset where people are able to exercise what they want and have this pro-liberty freedom mindset. So what we're doing right now is exploring different fields, whether it's law, medicine, or, even if it's like social sectors, we are trying to evolve with people. So we work with think tanks. One of the examples which we could do is that, how we have been working with think tanks in order to bring lobbying and as well as, work on some policy making changes so that people are able to address those ideas that how we need more liberty oriented things. When it comes to more in the South Asian aspect, we talk a lot about individualism because, in most of the South Asian countries, we do have a collectivist mindset where we are always told to, to go with the society or with the groups, and especially impacts a lot of women and underrepresented communities because they're not able to voice what they want. So, and especially a lot of women are dependent financially, on men or other people. So what we do is like, we try to inculcate this mindset where they can take they have the understanding of what the rules and regulations are, and we focus a lot on free markets and how capitalism can empower women. So we work on that aspects, and we help them train so that they can have economic freedom. So when we talk about freedom, it's not just about your rights, but also having the understanding that how it's not an option, but a way of survival for a lot of people. So, women should have the rights over, their body. They should have the body autonomy, but also in terms of how they can understand things, where they can start their own business probably. So we help them train, and, we help them understand that, if there will be less rules and regulations and more privatization in terms of starting their own businesses. And that's what we have been trying to do in South Asia, as well as in India, is like helping people start their own thing so that they're able to be more financially equipped, and have that financial freedom. So it has to be, spiritually free, financially free, emotionally free, and in the end, a person should be only answerable to themselves rather than anybody else. So I think in many of the aspects, whether it's STEM, even in the STEM, we see the representation of women. That is something I have been working on since I was in school, and that's what also we talked about in our last podcast. So I do feel that, these are the aspects where we need to bring how freedom is a very important aspect of it. And I think that's what we are trying to do in different areas of professions.
Definitely. When you're working with students and also business professionals and just people from around the world on this issue, have you learned a lot about kind of the way that this issue is looked at in different countries? And I know that, were you at a conference recently? I think I remember seeing some like videos and things from that. When you talk with people from other countries, how is this idea of freedom and liberty viewed in different parts of the world? I think that's such an interesting concept, and I feel like you're a great person to ask about it. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Lily, for that question. So I feel that one of the major aspects is that how it's very important to make these things more relatable to the people. So right now, I'm leading this new daily chapter in India of an organization known as Ladies of Liberty Alliance, which is based in Washington, D.C. And we have many of the chapters all across the world. So we are based in more than 40 countries. And the best thing is that how we have local chapters. So what we work on is understanding the grassroots level problems of what people are facing, especially women in this aspect, and how through the ideas of liberty we can transform their lives. So I feel that something which is very specific to say probably US. Now a lot of women whom I talked with have they have their issues, like they are looking forward of how they can have better gun laws, or they are looking forward to how and like abortion is something which a lot of my friends are working for, and they're working really hard to have their rights over body autonomy. But for somebody probably in India or in South Asia, I feel that one of the major aspects is like even to address it in the public, that you want to embrace the ideas of liberty. So it might come as even immoral. So I think for us it's not even about like going out in the public and speaking it in a very like just an open way. So we find ways of how a lot of people come into it and they get acquainted with it. And what we do is, like, for example, if we want to talk about free markets, we'll use the word livelihood, so a lot of people come into it. We talk a lot about classical liberal values like the rule of law, which has to be there when it comes to democracy. And India is the largest democracy in the world, and if we need to make them understand that how we get acquainted with these ideas. What we do is like we use the example of, say, individualism, and we make them understand that how it's so important for you as a person to identify the worth of yourself. So for a lot of women, they will always think as themselves as somebody who's like a second grade citizen, and they'll always feel like I need to be dependent on someone. So if you start believing in yourself, for example, we were working with a group of women, and we helped them train, get an understanding, start their own things. And it was such an emotional moment for me, because I was mentoring these women, and get acquainted with a lot of things, and we were taking help. And there is this 40-year-old woman, she comes to me and she says, and she started her own business, she just learned some digital skills, and she said to me that for the first time in my life, I was able to talk and see in the eyes of my son and my husband, because since like growing up, I was always like keeping my eyes down, and I was told what to do. So that's the financial freedom we are talking about. That's the thing which we are talking about, is like people understanding that how important for it is for them to be able to have like, and especially when it comes to India, we need to understand that culture is a very important aspect, so we do not have to snatch that. So it's very important that the point of being a person who's exercising their own rights goes well with the culture as well, so it can go side by side. You can value your
Yeah.
culture, you can value what your culture teaches you, what the society teaches you, and exercising your own rights, so it doesn't has to go against that. So I think that's what we have been trying to understand to solve it at the grassroots level, and it can be very different for people all across the world, but
Yeah.
eventually try to understand that solutions has to be found, and when we come together we brainstorm, and it helps identify a lot of solutions for different set of problems, but it still helps to be together.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a really powerful story and kind of a testament to the advocacy work that you're doing as well. So, as far as looking at the future, whether it's the next couple of weeks, few months, even years, do you have any projects or events coming up that you're really excited about and maybe that people could join or get involved in some way?
Yeah, so basically, we had the Women's History Month. So I think it was really well. We organize a lot of activities, we organize a lot of conversations because I feel it's very important. And we also, involved everybody to join in together to, solve for these issues. And it was really amazing to see, people from different backgrounds, people doing climate action, people into law, people into psychology, all like everybody coming together and working together just do stuff like that. So I think we had an amazing Women's History Month where we were having these conversations and also involving like men and all the genders to be a part of it, because I feel like Women's History Month is just not for women but for everybody else out there to be a part of it. So I think what all amazing things we are going to do so far is we are probably also working on this climate action, free market environmentalism. So we have also understood that how even climate is something which is very relevant in terms of rights and freedom for people, especially like for women, because climate and women, it's something which is like very much interlinked. And for example, if they are not part of speaking for their rights, or if they are not there, like anybody doesn't help them amplify their voices, that will be a bummer. And that's what we are trying to do, is like we are working on free market environmentalism projects where we are reaching out to climate activists to help understand that how we can work more for free market environmentalism, and how climate action can also be an aspect for more people to join in and understand that how it can help build a more equitable future. And I think that's something which we are really working on. And then we always have amazing events happening, and I'm like consulting with the organization, so we are trying really hard to bring people aboard in terms of conferences, events, which is something I would love to share with people as well, because we always attract a lot of people from law, economics, and liberal arts, but we would also like a lot of people from STEM to come in, because I have been talking with scientists, and I hear the stories of how they deal with a lot of rules and regulations and policies they have to struggle with. So I feel that we are always looking forward of how we can involve more people in terms of having those conversations, and we're always open to help them start those conversations in their countries, and help them come forward and help people who may be in need of some mentorship. So I think that's something what we're looking forward to have more conversations in the future. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's so important to create projects that are very inclusive of those different fields because this is an issue that is affecting people in any career and in any field, like you were saying. So I asked you this question when I had you on the podcast the first time, but I'm really interested to know if your answer has changed, if you have different ideas now. Lots of young people want to create change, but they may not know how to get started with that work. What advice do you have for those people who may be listening or watching us right now?
Yeah, so I think it's all about, if you feel that you're really passionate about something, then I feel that, while I was venturing into these aspects, a lot of times, it's maybe taken as something which is very unconventional. So I know that, while you're doing this work, you also have your regular studies, your job. For me, at times, like, honestly, like, even I have had my days of burnout where, I just don't feel like even getting out of bed. And I think that's very normal. So I feel that it's very important to understand what phase of life you are in right now, and how much time you can commit to it while not being burdened, or like just feeling burned out. So I think it's when you are going out, and in terms of just like starting your change making journey, it's very essential that you understand that you are not neglecting yourself, because I feel that if you need to be a leader, you should be able to create more leaders than followers. So I feel that you became a great example. And it's very essential that you have a better understanding, research, and statistics of the grassroots level things of what you want to work upon. So I feel whenever, we are starting with a new project or a new campaign, or even if it's into something which I have had an experience, I always make sure to start from the scratch. So it's very important that, we talk and we research with all the stakeholders involved, whether you talk to them personally or you read their stories, so that you have an understanding and research of what you are venturing into and how better you can plan your campaigns or projects about that. So I feel it's very important to understand that what phase you are in right now, and if you're ready to commit to it wholeheartedly, and how you can build your team around it, if you're attracting the right set of people, and how to get into it and be a better leader. A lot of times, it's not just like change making is all not about advocating for ideas or speaking. It's a lot about listening as well. So I feel that, when you're starting out, it's very important to be a great listener as well, even if you feel you have had a good understanding. So even right now, I always make sure to be a better listener and listen to all of my team members. And, there might be times where they don't agree with my ideas, and I might feel that, that's something I should look into it. So I would say find the right phase, be a better listener, and always have your research and stats straight, so that you're able to create a better plan of how you want to go about it. So I think, yeah, that's what I would say.
I love that. I love the listening advice. I think that's so important. And I think definitely something that more people need to do as they're engaging in this work. So I love that you shared that. So, as we're closing out, what are the best ways for people to connect with you and get involved in all of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, so I think that the best way is to reach out to me through LinkedIn. I think, I've been creating content around liberty and business and, entrepreneurship and what all great stuff we have been doing. So, even recently I just attended this entrepreneurship conference, a summit which was organized in India, and it was pretty great. We had our prime minister and a lot of ministers and entrepreneurs coming in, and it was really good because, India has like around 50% of the population is under 25, which is like amazing. And, that's something. So you can always connect on Rida Yumn Ahmed at LinkedIn, and I have my Instagrams, which you could find by the same name. And I think, yeah, it's pretty incredible. You can always shoot out an email at ridayumahmed@gmail.com, and I think, yeah, that's pretty much how we can get connected. And I'm always looking forward for collaborations, stories, or even just to hear what people are doing. So even if somebody is just like starting, I get requests all the time, and I mentor students on how they can be a better speaker, as well as just putting themselves out there, because I feel it's very important to unlearn a lot of things which we have been doing since we have like grown up. So I think it's very important to unlearn and learn new things. And I'm always up for anybody who would like to start their own journey and be a part of something amazing. I think it's just a very beautiful feeling.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I'm so glad that we got to catch up. And thank you to everyone who watched or is listening back to this episode when it gets posted on the podcast feed. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me on Instagram at Be the Change Media Network. And if you enjoyed this conversation, leave a comment or a rating and subscribe to the podcast to hear more inspiring stories like this one. Tune in to listen to Be the Change podcast live tomorrow. But until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys. And thank you so much again for coming on. This was so much fun.
Yeah, thank you so much, Lily. Keep doing the amazing work.
Thank
Lots of love to you.
you. Thank you. Thank you. Have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.